It always gets back to the player. You know who likes you, who's in your corner, and who's not. These guys at the front office, man, they're so bad at faking things. You can kind of see the snake in somebody's eyes when they're saying something to you. People are saying, hey, man, yeah, you had a really good game. And I could just see the anger and hate in their eyes because I know you prefer the other guy. What's up, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel, Chipoverseas. We back with another classic. Thank you guys for tuning into the channel. Thank you guys for the subs. Thank you guys for the likes. I've been getting a lot of love lately. I appreciate everybody joining in, jumping in the comments, liking the video, and growing the page. What I want for the page now is I want to hit 1K. So we're on a new journey. Get on the winning team. Now, without further ado, let's skip the boring stuff and let's get right into the video. All right, today we're doing a deep dive of Nico Harrison. His name is everywhere. His name is in every hit piece, every think piece. His name is completely gone viral. I think that it's important to know his history because when you take a deeper look into his history, you can kind of see trends that led up to the decision that he made to trade Luka away in that mega deal, something that we've never seen before in the league. Let's try to get a better understanding of who this guy is and where he comes from. And just for context, in case you've been living under a rock, Nico Harrison is known for trading away Luka Doncic, a superstar in the prime of his career. Actually, what I believe is right before his prime. To me, your prime doesn't kick in until about 27, 28. So Luka was 25 at the time he was traded, so he was shipped off before we could even see the best version of him. And it was a controversial trade. I mean, like I said, if you don't know this, you've been living under a rock. This trade would be scrutinized and picked apart in the media. And essentially, nobody understands why Nico pulled the trigger like he did. I'm going to try to give you guys a little bit more context so we can understand this a little bit better. Starting from his time at West Point, going and transferring schools in college, going and playing overseas like me, then coming back home, getting into pharmaceutical sales, then going to Nike. Then from Nike, he goes to Mavs, and from Mavs, he has all these ties with Team USA basketball. There's a deep history here. It's really not that big of a mystery as to why he moved the way he moved. I just want to show you guys the light. So let's do it. Let's dive in. Pause. All right, Nico Harrison was born in 1972 in Seattle, Washington. Throughout his childhood, he lived all over the Northwest, Washington, Oregon. In his childhood, he moved around a lot. He was a standout basketball player. About 6'5", he's athletic, he can dunk, jump high. Back in the day at 6'5", you were a big man, so he was a 6'5" big. And now here's the first important piece to the puzzle. His first choice to go to college after high school, he was going to be a college basketball player. He chose to go to West Point. West Point is the oldest American service academy. It's college prep for the U.S. Army. So what that says to me is Nico Harrison was a patriot through and through. Loved his country. He was ready to serve his country until he transferred to Montana State. Now, the next 3 years at Montana State, he was a great player. 1,000 points in 3 years. But not only was he a great player, but he was a very smart man. And that's the second piece for this. He is an intelligent dude. He was an academic All-American. He won scholarships to go and pursue school at the next level. Like, he was a smart cat. So that tells me that he's calculated. That tells me that nothing that he does is without reason. Take it from me. I know this next step personally because I obviously played overseas for 9 seasons. After his college career, he graduated and he went overseas. He played in Belgium. He played in Japan. He played all over the world for 7 years. That right there is something enough. I'm going to pause it right here because, like I said, from my personal experience, when I graduated college, I wasn't necessarily like the smartest academically, but I was super intelligent and I had a big network coming out of college. So for me, I had options. Okay, did I want to stay here and pursue something in what I am interested in? When I say here, I mean America. Or do I want to pursue basketball overseas and get it out the way because that's something that you might regret down the line? You can always go back into work after you try to play pro basketball, right? So I know he had options coming out of college. Anybody with a good head on their shoulders coming out of college is going to have options. So he chose to exercise the pro career overseas. What does that say? In some way, you have to be a little bit vain to choose the overseas life. Because one, you have the opportunity to make a lot of money. If you play well, you're going to make a lot of money. Untaxed money. You got to pay taxes when you come back. But over there, for the most part, it's untaxed. What does that overseas decision look like? When you're home and you go into the workforce, what does being a superstar in the workforce look like? Oh, yeah, at the dinner parties, everybody surrounds you. Oh, yeah, at the board meetings, everybody kind of defers to you. You're getting promoted quick. Those are cool perks, and it comes with financial backings, and it comes with a great deal of security because the higher you go on your career path, the more benefits you're getting. You're getting approved for bigger loans. You can do this, you can do that. Like, it comes with the security, But what does a superstar look like being a basketball player? Admiration of thousands and thousands and thousands of people. You got professional people, these guys that own the team and do business, the manager, club managers and stuff like that. These guys want to be next to you. They got the millions of dollars, but they want to be next to you. That's a huge part of basketball. I know they're seeing it in the NBA. We seeing that big time overseas. These international businessmen, no matter how much they're worth, the highlight of their days is coming to the game and being on the court with us, sharing the love that we get. We're the ones shooting baskets and dunking on people. Everybody is clapping and loving us. They're asking us for autographs after the games. They're trying to get their pictures taken with us, and they're trying to get their kids' pictures with us after the games. They want our sneakers after the games. When you're a businessman, you don't get that. Nobody's asking you for your autograph as an exec of Nike. They might have the options to go right into business. A lot of smart people are choosing to just get that off. I might want that admiration. I might want my name in the big lights for, even if it's just for 7 years. Hey, I'll take it. I know because I chose it. I was in a situation at the time. I had an ex-girlfriend back in the day, and she wanted me to stay and pursue business because she was like, you're going to kill it. I already had offers. I had offers coming out of college. I could have done that. That was almost 10 years ago. By now, I would have been knee deep in some front office, but I would have never got that out of my system. It's a certain type of person that needs to get that out of their system. Okay, so he does the overseas thing, 7 years. It's a good enough career. I'm sure he, did his thing. Now he comes back. The first thing he went into was pharmaceutical sales. He's a salesman, natural salesman. You got to have charisma. I was thinking about doing pharmaceutical sales. You got to have charisma. If you got it and you're tall, good looking dude, it's going to work. You're going to be successful. So the first thing that he thought was, all right, I need to get on pharmaceutical sales. Sometimes the cap can be quite high, not as high as other industries like tech and med devices, but it's pretty good. Does that for a couple years. And then his boy calls him, says, hey man, this is an opening at Nike. I think you'd be a good fit. You should apply. At the time he's living in Oregon. Nike is an Oregon-based company. Like if I was a hooper in Oregon, the first thing I would do after I graduate college is apply to Nike. Why not? They probably know who you are already. Somebody in Nike will know who you are already because you're a hometown kid. So he goes, applies, gets a job. They relocate him to Dallas, and that's the next step. And at Nike, he's rising through the ranks. He got the athlete mentality, so he's competing, staying late, doing his thing. He's charismatic, personable guy. In Dallas, along the way, Nike is picking up the biggest stars in the world. He's on huge accounts like the Kobe account, the Jordan account. He's working closely with the Dallas Mavericks. Finley, Nowitzki. He's on those accounts. So as he's moving through the ranks, he's being exposed to a lot of people. He's a guy coming from pharmaceutical sales. He knows the value of relationships. He's a relationships guy. And the guys that he's building the closest relationships with are obviously going to be the people that he has the most respect for, the Kobe's, the Jordans, the LeBrons. He's building those relationships. Fast forward to 2013. He makes a fatal error. 2013 is around the time where the Golden State Warriors were starting to ascend. They're starting to climb, and everybody's saying, oh, who's this young team? Mark Jackson had those boys at the time. Y'all remember the Mark Jackson days. 2013, he's got a pitch with Steph Curry. Steph Curry comes in the meeting. Nico was prepared, but he wasn't all the way prepared. It was like, this kid is good. He's probably going to be a really good player, but he ain't KD. He ain't LeBron at the time. He ain't on that level. So they showed him a presentation that was built for Kevin Durant, ironically enough. They just changed the name. You got Kevin Durant as face of Nike basketball. Let me just change, copy, paste, edit Steph Curry instead of Kevin Durant. Steph Curry is a face of basketball. They happy, but they're not enthused. Steph Curry comes in. Nico says, hey, Seth, nice to meet you. Seth? This is Steph, brother. No. Seth is my little brother. He's at Duke right now. I'm Steph Curry. That was a Nike pitch for Steph. After that, Steph signed an Under Armour, and the rest is history. But that was Nico. Because in Nico's eyes, Steph wasn't one of the big dogs. Yeah, it'd be good to have his account, but he ain't moving the needle right now. I don't have a relationship with him. Those small details, right? Now remember, he was the president of North American Basketball Operations. In 2014, he was seen with Team USA gear. He was seen at the games watching Team USA. Who's the biggest sponsor of Team USA basketball? Who was just literally in controversy last Olympics because a non-member of this company was left off of Team USA? Nike. So through his Nike connection, he is overseeing Team USA. This goes back to the West Point point. My man is a patriot through and through. And now it's even doubled down on because now he is essentially a partner in Team USA basketball. In 2014, there's videos of him doing the ALS bucket challenge. You guys remember the ALS bucket challenge when people were just like dumping ice water over people for ALS? In his ALS bucket challenge back in 2014, he did that with none other than Anthony Davis. That's AD. Funny enough, 10 years down the line, that's who he traded for. The Team USA basketball connection. People always talk about other countries. Yeah, you know, in Team France, they practice year-round, and they've been together for 12 years. Well, over here, at the top, they've been together for over 12 years. The players might be interchangeable. One year we take this guy, one year we take that guy. But at the top, the sponsors, the relationships at top, those have been intact for a long, long time. Dallas Mavericks entered the chat. June 28th, 2021. The Dallas Mavericks offered him a job as GM. He accepts the job as GM. Remember, he was already building those relationships in Dallas. I'm pretty sure he had a great relationship with the front office of Dallas as the head of Nike. I'm saying Nike because that's how they say it overseas, and for some reason it stuck. I'm sorry. I've been living out the country for the last 10 years. I'm sorry. If that bothers you, just pretend like I'm saying Nike. Well, he succeeded Donnie Nelson. And when he takes over in 2021, Luka Doncic, his budding superstar, is only 22 years old. 22 years old. He was just coming off a season where he averaged 27, 9, and 8. As a 21-year-old in the NBA. 27, 9, and 8. All right? That's who he inherited. And the very first year as GM, his 23-year-old now superstar carried him to the conference finals where they lost against the Warriors, who would end up winning the championship. I'm not going to get too much into the Luka part of this whole equation because I did a video on that previously. Go watch it. I'll link it below. The very next season, 2023, Kyrie joins the team. Kyrie was also a member of Team USA back in the day. Kyrie is also a Nike guy. Luka's also a Nike guy, but under the Jordan umbrella. But Kyrie and Nico worked very closely at Nike, at Team USA. Now, let me tell you what happens in the team dynamic when it comes to GMs and coaches and all that stuff. When you have a guy that's clearly a number one guy, right? Everybody has to love that guy because he's so far ahead of everybody else skill-wise that even if you're not the biggest fan of him, like, you got to play ball because it's like, yo, if this guy doesn't like me, my job's in jeopardy, right? You want to align yourself with the best player. When a guy comes in that's almost as great as that best player, or maybe he's at the same level as that best player, now is when the politics come into play. When Kyrie came in, Nico saw this as the opportunity to say, you know what? There was always something that I wasn't so sure about this guy. I'm going to put all my eggs in this guy's basket because on any given night, they can look like this. Like, if you was watching the Mavs at that time, and any given night, Kyrie looked like he was on the same level as Luka. It's not like one is like head and shoulders above the other. So here's where politics come to play because, okay, the coach might like this guy, but the GM might like this guy. And there's always a battle. There's always like a struggle. If your eggs are in one guy's basket and he's performing, you look like the smarter guy in the room. But if your eggs is in the other guy's basket and he's performing, then you can kind of push your narratives. So with Nico, I think from the beginning, he chose Kai. He said, you know what? I don't know about in front of everybody, but behind closed doors, I'm riding for him. And that looks like at any given point, I'm going to throw a little shot here on the other guy because I'm not backing him. So I'm going to throw a little shot there to the president in our meetings. When I'm working with a skill development guy, I'm going to throw another shot there. Oh, he doesn't really work hard, does he? I don't know about that guy. Right? And so now people start to get talking like, oh, man, I don't know, man. I think there's tension. That's why you see the video that you saw where the Mavs front office was there at Luka's basketball game for Team Slovenia, and Luka kind of gave Nico the cold shoulder. That's because those little conversations always get back to the player. It always gets back to the player. They know. You know who likes you, who's in your corner, and who's not. These guys at the front office, man, they're so bad at faking things, right? Like, you can kind of see the snake in somebody's eyes when they're saying something to you. Positive, right? Like, I've been in so many situations where people are saying, hey, man, yeah, you had a really good game. And I could just see the anger and hate in their eyes because I know you prefer the other guy. And people always love to blame these kinds of teams dynamics on the players. A lot of times it's not the players. It's the front office that's splitting the players and kind of pitting them against each other. That's why the Celtics situation is so interesting, is because it seems like everybody is kind of 50-50 with Jalen and Tatum. It doesn't seem like everybody's kind of choosing up and splitting up against, like they're not pitted against each other. When politics comes into basketball, it starts up top. It doesn't start with us. It doesn't start with the player. It starts with the coach likes this guy, but the GM likes this guy. This guy feels empowered because he got the coach. This guy feels empowered because he got the GM and the president. That's how it starts. Luka leaves. Anthony Davis comes in. That's another piece. Because like I said, back in 2014, that was his homie. They were close. They were gang. That's his Team USA homie. AD was always a player that he looked at. So when he came in and he said those things about AD, he said, yo, we want to build a culture of defense. The Mavs were not good defensively. Nothing about the Mavs team, the way it's constructed, says we love defense, right? Quentin Grimes was one of the best defenders. Like, they shipped him out so fast. However, when you want a guy, you know how to spin a narrative, so it's tailor-made to make that guy look good. Yeah, you know what? I want AD, so I'm going to just tell him that, yeah, you know, defense wins championships, because, I mean, that's what everybody says anyway. I truly believe that Luka was Jason Kidd's guy. I truly believe that. And I truly believe that Kyrie was Nico Harrison's guy. Now, if you don't know about the structure of how a team is structured, the GM is above the coach. A lot of times the GM will bring in their homie that coaches. Yeah, man, like, I think he'd be a good fit. That's my boy. Unless the coach gets hired first. If the coach gets hired first and he is a reputable, big-time coach, then he brings in the GM. Yeah, you should get this guy. But they came in the same year. I think Nico got hired first. So he's the top guy. I don't care who the coach is like. If I don't like that guy, he's out of here. So AD comes in. He gets hurt. Get well soon. I don't wish injury on any player. I've been through it. It sucks. Kyrie gets hurt. Get well soon, Kai. And the first thing that Nico says in his statement after Kyrie gets hurt is Kyrie was the heart and soul of this team. He's the heart and soul of this team. He's making it clear as day. This was always the guy. All that time when you guys thought Luka was carrying us, I was waiting for Kyrie to have his 35-point outburst because that makes me look good. And so he forced his hand. All right, you know what, Kai? You 32. You still got some good years left in you, man. I'm going to give you the keys. We're going to get this guy out. I'm going to give you a big. You see how good AD looks with LeBron. You could throw a lob, right? All right, we'll bring in AD. AD get his own shot too, but down low. Now the perimeter is yours. When Luka's in the game, he draws a lot of attention away from you, but he's standing on a perimeter, and so that might make it a little bit harder for you to dance. Now AD's there. He's a lob threat. He's a pick and roll threat. Now you can really boogie. All right, Kyrie's like, all right, as long as you pay me, bro. That's cool. Put it like this. With a guy like Luka, right? A guy that has mastered the game of basketball, and Kyrie has mastered the game of basketball. I know that personally. He mastered the game of basketball by the time he was 16, 17. I know that personally. Luka's in the same boat. He mastered basketball at about 16, 17, 18. Then you live your life. Basketball is already mastered. You did it already. Now, you got some people that hike it up. After they master basketball, now they want to make sure that their body is aligned with the mastery of their craft. That's when you get the LeBrons. That's when you get the Kobes, the Tom Brady's in football. But sometimes it takes time for somebody to find that groove. Sometimes after you master basketball, you might get a little bored. Yeah, I used to work out 3 times a day, but now, I'm going to just work out once, man. I'm averaging 30 in the league. Like, I need to work out 3 times. Like, the mentality is different. On Luka's off day, he might just want to go drink a coffee. Shoot, he might want to go drink a beer. One beer is not going to kill him. It's not going to hurt him. It's not going to tank his game. For him, that's not a problem. But for Nico, he's looking at it like, American mentality is different. All in all, I think Nico was battling internally with what he thought was the right way to be and his idea of professionalism. But sometimes, especially when you're dealing with people from other cultures, you have to kind of let people be them. As long as the results are there. I might advise you, but I can't despise you. I'm going to let you be yourself. Because when American players come in, and sometimes, man, our mentality is all over the place. You don't know what you're going to get sometimes. That's the word overseas about American players. You don't know what you're going to get. Sometimes you might get a dude that's, really locked in and focused. And sometimes you might get a dude that's even more talented that don't give a damn. Like, we're all over the place. But the way you get the most out of us in that situation is let us be ourselves. Don't let us get too crazy outside of the bounds that you want us to be in. But you got to let us be ourselves. With Nico, he had a hard time letting Luka be himself. Also, I think Luka was kind of growing into that kind of LeBron type role. He just came off the finals at 25 years old. If he did it again, that's his franchise. You're not the star anymore. Kyrie's 32. Kyrie got about 3-4 more years at a high level. And then he's going to start to come down a little bit. Luka was only about to go up. You talk about 10, 12 more years. So maybe he saw that and was like, oh, man, I can't give somebody like that all the power. Because then I'm going to be out. If he gets so big and I'm on the other guy's side, I might be out. And I'll be out of a job. So tell me what you guys think about that. Did you learn anything new about Nico? Did you see anything through his story that I didn't see? Let me know in the comments. I'll be very interested to hear what you guys think. I'm going to sign out how I always sign out. If you like the video, like the video. If you got a comment on the video, comment on the video. And if you subscribe to me, I subscribe to you. Peace.